We have 3 K-3 STEM-themed photo books for this season. First up is Nature's Rule Breakers, and this is a fun look at animals that don't follow the so-called rules. Did you know that bobcats aren't nocturnal or diurnal? In fact, they have no set time when they're active. Each individual animal decides for itself when it's going to be awake and when it will sleep. I thought that's both interesting and really weird. I had no idea there were animals like that. This book introduces a whole series of common ways to categorize animals and then offers up examples of creatures that break those rules. The comic book style design elements will draw kids in, and the cool facts will keep them reading. The back matter includes information about why it's useful to categorize animals in the first place, as well as more examples of animals that are exceptions to the rule. Next up, Nature is a Sculpture. This one is from Heather Ferranti-Kinzer. She's the author of Small Matters, which we published back in spring of 2020. This one is about decidedly bigger matters. Heather's lyrical verse describes how phenomenon like erosion and deposition shape the landscape, and breathtaking photos showcase examples from across the US and throughout the world. Many of the photos are from US national parks, and there are also a number of stunning examples from elsewhere around the globe. Back matter, which was vetted by 2 consultants, has accessible explanations of how erosion, weathering, and deposition help shape our world. Finally, I want to emphasize that this layout is absolutely gorgeous, and the beautiful photos combined with Heather's lyrical text will draw in readers who might not gravitate toward a more conventional photo book on this topic. Next up, we're back on snow. This one you could pair with The Power of Snow if you wanted. On a Flake-Flying Day is from Buffy Silverman and follows in the footsteps of On a Snow Belting Day and On a Gold Blooming Day. This one focuses on closely observing what happens to plants and animals as winter arrives and the snow begins to fall. The back matter includes further explanations about the science behind everything mentioned in the main text, as well as a glossary and further reading. Unlike the earlier books, the text is written in this wonderful rhyme, and visually this is so engaging and gorgeous. Then next up for middle grade photo books, we have Wild Inventions, which is a new single title from Sandra Markle. It highlights something called bioinspiration, which is when features from animals or other things in the natural world inspire inventions. Each chapter presents 2 different animals, such as honeybees and termites, that have come up with different ways of solving a similar problem. In this case, how to keep a structure cool, whether it's a honeybee hive or a termite mound. Then Sandra goes on to explain how designers have taken inspiration from these animals in finding ways to cool structures that we humans live in. Along with honeybees and termites, the book features dolphins and bats, geckos and sandcastle worms, diving beetles and water scorpions, and sharks and pangolins. As always with Sandy's books, there are fabulous photos throughout. The back matter includes an author's note, glossary, source notes, further reading, and an index. Finally, Mysterious Glowing Animals is a fascinating science story that begins in Wisconsin when a scientist takes a UV light out in his backyard to search for glowing tree frogs, and much to his surprise, he discovers a flying squirrel that's glowing bright pink. This phenomenon has never before been documented, and it kicked off a scientific investigation into what was happening and why. This is something called biofluorescence, which is not the same as bioluminescence. And this book includes an in-depth explanation of the science behind this. For biofluorescence, you need a UV light to shine on something to make the glow, rather than an animal producing its own glowing chemicals. As the research went on, the scientists discovered more glowing mammals, spring hares that glow bright orange, and duck-billed platypuses that glow bright green. The research is ongoing, and the book concludes with what questions the scientists are currently investigating. Author Maria Parrott-Ryan was able to connect directly with the scientists and interview them as part of her research, and they were also very generous in providing photos to use in the book and an incredible video of a glowing flying squirrel. We're including that as a page plus element. There's a QR code you can scan so you can check it out for yourself. This is a unique and visually striking science book for middle grade readers. We have Little Monsters of the Ocean, we have Nature's Ninja, and we have Eavesdropping on Elephants. All of those are middle grade photo books, have done well in hardcover, and hope to continue reaching new audiences with them now in paperback. That wraps it up for me.